Oh yeah, I was asked what the components of my Wok Forge were after someone saw the knife hardening with a homemade Wok Forge video, and I'd just like to run through them now. I mean, it's pretty simple. Obviously I won't be firing it up because I haven't got anything to harden that needs hardening with it, but I'll just give you a quick show. Okay. The base is an old stainless steel pot that boiled dry, so it was ruined on the inside, so I utilised that. Drilled a hole using a hole saw in it, a large hole for the bore of an old exhaust pipe from a scrapyard, and 2 bolt holes to hold it on, so that's not going to go anywhere. The wok is a Tesco's barbecue wok, so it already had all the holes in, no need to drill any more, and that just sits on top basically. And as you can see, that layer of holes sits right on the rim of the stainless steel bowl there, or pan, and at the other end is where it's attached to the vacuum cleaner. But I had a square plastic funnel there, which I also found at the scrapyard, and that fits over. It's just stuck over the vent, the outlet vent on the vacuum cleaner there. Obviously the inlet is down here, and the pipe normally goes on there. So what I've done is I've taken out the dust box and the filter, because that restricts the airflow, and obviously as it's going round, I'll stick that on properly later, as the fan's spinning it jetsons the air out of here, which goes into the other end of the exhaust, which is just held in to there with duct tape, because it's very cool at this end. The duct tape doesn't melt at all. The hot end ends about here somewhere, because obviously the airflow going through it that way keeps the outside cool and keeps the hot air at that end. This is also adjustable. It's got a dial for min and max, and I only really use it on the minimum, or maybe just above the minimum, what I did in the video, and that's more than enough airflow to get the coals glowing hot. Obviously the coals go inside the wok there, and the coals I used were just charcoal briquettes, which came in a paper bag, but you can use coal or coke or anything really. My quench bucket is a small galvanised steel bucket, which is being filled up by twigs and things at the moment, and cigarette butts, and that's what I fill with oil to quench the knives in, or the blade blanks. This was actually a large citronella candle, garden candle, which was filled with wax to there, and obviously the wick coming out the middle. Once that was used, I used this because it's fireproof, obviously, and the oil I used was hypoid gear oil, because it's what I had laying around. You can use pretty much any oil, like used engine oil, or new if you wanted to, but I used hypoid gear oil, and I found that it gives off hardly any black smoke at all when it flares up, because whatever oil you're going to use, because of the temperature of the blade, it's going to ignite, and you're going to get a flare of flame off the top. The temperature the blade gets to, when it's in the forge is around about 800 degrees centigrade. This is the point where it's ready to be hardened, if you like. It's ready to be quenched. That's got to just the right temperature when it's cherry red. You can test to make sure it's the right temperature by holding a magnet against it, or what I used was a large speaker magnet laid on the ground and used the tongs to hold the blade against the magnet to see if it sticks. If it still sticks, it needs to go in for longer. And I think that's about it really. If there's any more questions, obviously because the bucket of oil is going to flame, you have to make sure there's nothing overhead. I mean, that's why if you look here, I've got quite a lot of tree canopy over the top of me. That's why I did it out on the path where there's nothing straight above it, because obviously the flame could ignite it, especially a coniferous tree like this one here, because the sapling, that's quite flammable. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that needs saying. Oh yeah, obviously the wok's going to get pretty hot. And also I've found that where the base is sat on the ground, if you've got it on grass or leaf litter or debris from your tree, then it will scorch a circular disc shape on sort of about, well, the same size as the base of it. So it's probably better to put it onto a slab or something, or a big rock. I think that's about it. Obviously don't touch the wok with your bare hands. I used a pair of welding gauntlets, and the tongs I used for mine, which weren't particularly effective, were coal tongs. So blacksmith's tongs, obviously designed for the job, they would have been a lot better. But that's basically it. I mean, the exhaust pipe there from the scrapyard cost me about £5, I think. Tesco's wok was £5. I already had this, and as I say, it boiled dry and it got a sort of discoloration in the bottom. So I just utilised that. And the Hoover, or vacuum cleaner rather, was just an old vacuum that I had laying around anyway. That was, but you can buy variable speed vacuum cleaners for about £20 for a good one, probably even less. But an old one will do the job. So if you break all the hose on it, or the dust box, I mean, you can make your own out of, as long as it's got a motor in it, you can make it out of pretty much anything. An old hairdryer or something like that, or a car motor, the car heater element sort of. And that's about it. Okay, thanks for watching. Cheers.